Time for another Fireside chat with the Xperts. And today we have a special guest with us, Bill Cardoso. Again, welcome back. Also have
He
here...
doesn't mean it, Peter. He doesn't mean it. Just be sarcastic.
And also we have Peter here from our new partner in Canada, IR Supplies and Services. IR Supplies and Services. So Peter, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself and IR to us and our viewers?
Perfect. Yeah, my name is Pieter Medema. I'm with IR Supplies and Services. We're a Canadian distributor of NDT equipment and supplies. Basically, we were founded in 2005 by two gentlemen who had previously worked in the field as NDT technicians for years. Basically, they had a vision. The two that I mentioned are Rob Mushkett and Brian Sargent. Their vision was to start a company that would offer a better equipment solution for the NDT industry. And basically, at the time they had issues, they needed to go to 10 to 15 different suppliers to get all the equipment they needed. And they wanted to diversify and become a one-stop shop for all your NDT needs. So that was kind of their reason for starting. And basically, they started out really small, out of a small shop. Now they have two full service locations, one in Edmonton and the other in Burlington, Ontario. And basically, we still run the business the same way with the vision of Rob and Brian. We always look for new suppliers that can definitely help us fulfill all our clients' needs. Now the business is run a little different because now we also have a marketing manager and we have a little more structure. So basically, they're keeping us honest and remembering our branding to remember to say IR. So and that was required. So anyways, that's a little history of IR. And my position with IR is business development, and I handle a lot of the technical side of things.
So in 2005, when the company started, what customers was it serving? What kind of vertical?
Actually, they started as just basically industrial radiography, because that's what Rob and Brian were. They were radiographers. So they wanted a better vision for the industrial radiography. But now we service basically all 6 methods, right? Okay. So that's why our branding now is IR. We don't really want to be only in the RT field. We're kind of a one-stop shop for basically all 6 methods.
All your inspection needs.
Correct.
Very cool.
Nice. So that's non-destructive testing, right? So how do you use that term versus are you talking about these 6 different methods? In our industry, non-destructive testing or NDT seems like it has a lot of different meanings to different people. So what does that mean to you?
Non-destructive testing, basically, or non-destructive evaluation, they're basically meaning the same things. Really, the main difference is non-destructive evaluation was more of testing the actual properties, physical properties of and fracture toughness and other physical characteristics of it, where NDT kind of, that's a term more broadly used, I would say now, because basically the main thing when you're doing NDT testing, you want to not do destructive testing. So you can actually inspect it, and once it passes the test, you can actually sell it as well, or use it in service. So basically, NDT basically is kind of like the silent hero, because we make sure, and the industry makes sure, that your airplanes are safe, your bridges you drive over every day are safe and secure, your pipelines are safe When they inspect them, they can check for corrosion. There's lots of things, and they're basically the unsung heroes in everyday life. Because before I started in the NDT industry, I had no idea it existed. Right. So that's kind of what NDT means to me. They're kind of the unsung heroes in doing this inspection methods without actually having to, stop the gas going to your house. They can, inspect it to make sure it's safe without stopping the service, right? Or closing a bridge. They can just do it basically when the vehicles are actually driving over it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a great and very timely comment, right? With the recent event that happened in Mexico with the subway, it crashed, killed 24 people. I mean, so far, probably the number of deaths will increase. Hopefully not, of course. But it's a good reminder that the importance, right, of NDT in keeping the essential infrastructure of this country and in Canada and all over the world functioning properly, right? Of course, it's too soon to tell. There's investigations going on right now, but it's been well documented that the infrastructure, not only in Mexico, but here in the US as well, I don't know who Canada is, but has been neglected, right? It needs to be properly inspected in regular times so that things like this don't happen again.
No, absolutely. And also that one 2 years ago in Paris, or in France, the bridge going from France to Italy, that collapsed as well. And the investigation showed that their intervals were way too long in between when they actually did the inspection.
Yeah.
So
is that is this part of the services that you provide, the inspection of infrastructure?
No, we don't offer the actual service of doing the inspection. We actually supply to the actual companies that actually do the inspection work.
Okay.
So we're basically do business to business sales. So we actually sell to the companies that do the inspections, and we also service all the things that we do sell. So we would like calibrate units for your DRD, direct reading dosimeter. Also your survey meters, right? We would sell the equipment, but we would also calibrate it and service it if it did break down.
Mm-hmm. So if a company in Canada gets a contract to inspect bridges and they need equipment, they call IR, and you guys can hook them up with everything they need for X-ray inspection and or other type of methodologies, like whatever methods they're going to be using for that inspection. Now, I have, we got to ask, it's COVID time. So I got to ask, how you guys been impacted? What changed? What didn't change? What improved? And how does it change the, this NDT world with COVID?
COVID has slightly impacted our industry. However, we are what do you call that? A needed field. So you can't really just close us, right? So we're kind of like a supermarket. People need to eat. With NDT, you need to be safe. So the work must continue. So we're basically, the NDT industry is like a frontline worker, basically. So it has impacted us to a degree. More so, I would say out west, out east, we've still been pretty busy doing working safely, keeping our distance. If we're in the office, wearing our mask, staying, the recommended distances. But yeah, in regards to a drastic decrease, I wouldn't say it was a drastic decrease. It just, shows you that, you can still work and be safe at the same time. So.
Yeah. And working with X-rays, we know quite a bit about social distancing, right? We practice distancing from those sources on a regular basis. So now, perhaps one one of the deepest impacts we've had was in the oil and gas, right? With airplanes basically grounded for weeks, right? And people not commuting to work anymore for weeks or months. That has, I think, impacted the industry, right, as a whole. And those shock waves propagate all over the world, right? Which how do you guys feel that up in Canada?
Like you mentioned, the oil and gas sector has really been impacted. Also, not really just because of COVID, but also some of the new administration coming in the U.S. canceled a major project, right? That impacted a lot of jobs. So that's why more of Western Canada is more of an oil and gas sector. Where up here in Burlington, we've been very busy with the nuclear industry, right? So automotive industry, aerospace industry, because the planes, like you mentioned, are grounded. It's a perfect opportunity to have them all inspected. When pre-COVID, the planes would fly 23 out of 24 hours, basically. And that 1 hour, the maintenance had to be done, your inspections needed to be done, all that kind of stuff in a short span, right? So I think our Ontario location has been quite lucky in that regards, because we're very diversified in the industry that we're helping out, right? Because Western Canada doesn't have nuclear power plants like we do in Ontario.
Yeah, so Western Canada is we're less diversified, right? Because quite a bit of new ventures and startups in Eastern Canada, right?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Very exciting ecosystem, right, for new companies and a lot of some American companies moving up to Canada to get started. At somewhat easier access to funding. Again, at some level, depending where you are in the US, you have lower competition for talent right up in Canada. I mean, and especially in Eastern Canada, you have top-notch universities, right, producing top engineers, software engineers. So it's quite a place to be. As you look up, look towards the future of IR, what are some of those segments that you are looking at penetrating? No pun intended. Well, actually didn't intend, but.
Yeah, one major industry that we're really excited about, especially with having a supplier as Creative Electron, you guys really fill a need that we had, because basically we were only able to sell things just off a shelf. This is what we have, right? Bringing you guys on board, we actually can customize a client's solution and needs, which really broadens our opportunities, especially in Eastern Canada for the automotive industry, which really we haven't even touched yet. And it's very exciting to have a supplier as you guys being able to customize a client's needs. Before, I would say, well, this is all we have. Unfortunately, we can't customize it. It's either this model or this model. There's nothing in between. We're now having Creative Electron. You guys will actually come in, help the customer, ask, what do you guys need? What do you want? How can we make your life easier? And I believe there's going to be a lot of markets that will be opening up with having this relationship between Creative Electron and IR.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. I think there's quite a bit of opportunities. Now, one of the reasons why I think this engagement is very successful is the fact that IR has quite a bit of depth in your technical team, right? To provide services and provide not only you are what I call distributor plus plus, right? You're not just a distributor. You're not like Kellogg, right? That sells a product and I'm done. You have a problem, call whoever made this thing, right? Why don't you tell us more about your business model, right? And how IR has been able to, and how that has been a propeller for your success.
Yeah. So with IR, their vision is everything we sell, we will actually service. So if a customer has an issue, we believe that the customer is number one, of course. We always want to have a satisfied customer.
Mm-hmm.
And, the more happy clients you have, the better it is for everyone. So we always go over and above, basically like our competitors. They would sell a product and anything happens, if it's outside of the warranty period or anything, they would refer them to the manufacturer, which, talking from experience, if I bought something, that's one of the main reasons I like this one manufacturer that I go do my shopping at. It's Costco. Any issues, you go back, they look after you. Yeah. So our philosophy is the same. Customer has an issue, we will actually deal with the manufacturer for the customer. We don't pawn them off on anyone because we personally know how that feels, and we want to give top-notch service. And that's really what propelled IR into a different atmosphere, because our clients like dealing with us because they know what to expect from us. They have an issue, they get looked after, right? So basically, any products that we sell, we want to make sure the supplier understands that, and we want to help the customer out by any means necessary.
And that's and I think that's a important philosophical differentiation, right? As a company, that when you start a company, you have to make that decision, right? And one of the key decisions you make is if you're going to be a transactional company or relationship company, right? Yes. And a transactional company is a catalog company, right? You go ahead, you buy a product. If it doesn't work out, not my problem. Figure it out, right? Yeah. In a relationship company, you don't. You have a, in a catalog company, those companies tend to go wide and shallow, right? While a relationship company, you try to go, it's narrower but much deeper into the relationship with the customer, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And you have customers that you can that you develop and they become partners, right? I mean, that's what we have. We have customers, and I like to call them partners because we really, we have off-the-shelf products that we sell. Our product line, the TrueView product line, from the Cube to the Prime to the Fusion parts counter, and now the new Flex. These are products you can buy off the almost off the website, but that we really, from that service perspective, and from a perspective also of solving somebody's pain, right?
Yes.
We want to be involved and understand what that pain is, and that's why our sales team is. We have PhDs, we have engineers in the sales team. So when you call, you're not going to be talking to someone who's going to look at a catalog and say, "Oh, you need part 5120," and that's it. I don't really know what it does, but I think you need 5120 because somebody told me that's what you need, right? We have people who can have a conversation with our partners or customers, right, and understand what they need, what they're looking for. And those are not always the same, right? What they need and what they think they need, or what they want and what they can afford. These are all different things, right? And our job is to figure it out and converge into one solution that they're going to be satisfied and come back later, right? And for us, most of our customers come from word of mouth. It's just referral.
Yeah, and that's the best type of advertising.
Yeah.
You please someone, they tell one person. You displease someone, they tell 10 people.
Exactly.
So,
Or nowadays you go on Twitter and you can tell a million people, right?
Yes, yeah, true. That's only if you're Trump.
So I know you guys, you have these different modalities and of inspection, and I know some people watching this might not know, but film for radiography still exists, right? And people
Yes.
are still using it. Explain to me why, because a lot of people don't understand that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Basically, I think the main reason people are still using film is the average age, basically, for the radiographer in Canada is basically about 58 years old. Okay. And it's basically the price, I guess, to convert to digital is still pretty steep. Reason being, not too many people have done it other than the big companies, right? That could incur the upfront cost. But really, the upfront cost is going to be nothing if you're looking, 5 years down the road, because your return on investment is probably at the moment 2 years, basically.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Not bad.
So basically the price of film, your chemicals. So there's basically film, you would, it's still flexible. It's reusable, no. Where with CR, the phosphate plate is flexible, or the CR plate, I guess you call it. They're reusable. The capture speed versus film and CR. With film, it's 1. CR, it's 10 times. Processing speed for film takes anywhere from 8.5 to 10 minutes to develop your film. For CR, you scan it through the machine, 2 minutes, and you're done. Basically, your exposure latitude with film is 40 to 1. With CR, you're looking at probably 10,000 to 1. Darkroom you would need for film, where for CR, you don't need a darkroom. You just need low light. You have your chemical expense, where CR you don't. Your image sharing with film, you got to put it in an envelope, send it with Purelator, send it to someone, make sure they get it, right? And hopefully it didn't get bent or damaged. Yeah. Where with CR and DR, it's you could just email it or use Dropbox to share it, right? Yeah. And the main key one, I would say, is your retrieval of an image. Mm-hmm. So let's just say to store film, you need to store it at a specific temperature and humidity, right? Mm-hmm. And that costs money, where digital storage is a lot cheaper. But to retrieve something from 10 years ago for film, you have to send 2 or 3 or 4 people that you're paying hourly to go search in boxes. Wow. Right? And month and day. And, it does cost time and money to actually locate something. Where digitally, you put in a search parameter and instantly you have it. Right? So that's the main, benefit of it. But there's so many more to digital. You have your on-screen measurements. You've got your zoom in on a region, where with film, you're on a viewer looking in on the regular 1-to-1 size. Where with digital, you can zoom in. You can also put annotations on a digital image. If you want to get rid of it, you just delete the annotations. You have an audit trail, right? Because with the medical field, they switched over 25 years ago, we'll just say. And we're using the same kind of audit trail, which the medical field with DICOM, with the NDT version is called DICOND. So, which is the non-destructive evaluation ending of it. So the audit trail is good, where you cannot, the image is locked. You can't change anything. Where a JPEG or a TIFF file, you can definitely change, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why you need the raw data, which is in DICOND format. You can have comprehensive reports. You also have the color options, right? So there's a lot of pros, like way more pros than negative. The one negative is the upfront cost, but really your return on investment is pretty quick. And it does change depending how big your company is actually.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I just noticed we have about 5 minutes left, and I will have to invite you back because I have 100 questions now based on this download you just had. It's a lot to unpack.
I got Bill to watch the time. This is exciting.
Yeah, there you go.
I was like, wow, how many questions can I pack into 5 minutes? But one of the let me start with this one. Are there customers out there, right? They come to your customers, right? Because your customers are the inspection companies, right? The companies that go to the airport or to the refinery, and they bring the equipment and they provide a service to those provide service to those customers. Now, are there customers that say, I only accept film, I do not accept any digital format for my inspections, for the inspection of my product?
Well, most customers nowadays are asking for a digital copy, but the people will still shoot the film. And then what they do is they actually take the film and they digitize it with what's called a digitizer, right? So that's a less expensive way of giving the customer what they want, because they want the digital copy. So I would say it's about 70-30 now. Most customers, 70% of them, are asking for a digital report or a digital copy.
Very interesting.
Of the actual inspection method.
So they add a step that CR already has, which is the scanning, basically, of the film or the plate, right?
Correct, because you're getting digital right away with CR, right? But you do have to buy the CR equipment, which is a lot more money than a digitizer.
But let me, before we get any further, can you give me like the 1 minute explanation what CR and DR is for the people on the call who might not know what we're talking about exactly?
Sure. Yeah. So CR basically is a flexible plate like film. You still have your cassette, right? You still have to scan the actual CR plate or imaging plate, you call it. And CR is an acronym for computed radiography. DR is, some people call it digital radiography, some direct radiography. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's a plate that's not flexible. Mm-hmm. So basically, with CR, you can go down to basically 25 microns, where DR right now with, I believe, 98 microns is the lowest you can get to for the bigger size panels, right? So basically, CR is more weld quality, and DR is more information shots or shadow shots.
Correct. Yeah, and the smaller panels can go to 50 microns, but that's you can get a 43 centimeter by 43 centimeter. Yeah, you're going to be around 75 to 100 micron, or larger than that. Yeah, and it's important. And I appreciate that, because people sometimes don't realize that the imaging plate for CR doesn't have any electronics, doesn't have any battery or anything like that. It's just it's a passive film that registers, right, the X-ray photons, and then that plate has to be scanned on this special machine, right, with a laser, reads that image, and then deletes the image from the plate, and then you can reuse it, right?
Right.
Correct.
And
the main issue with that now is to try not to damage the actual plate. Correct. Because those plates aren't expensive. The minute you get a scratch on it or something, and you're doing actual weld quality, it's no longer usable, the plate. So
that's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a very good point. And when customers are looking at the transition, are they going CR or they are going all the way to DR? How do you see that transition happening?
It all depends on the actual type of inspection they do. If you're just doing, info shots, there's no need to go to CR. But if they're doing info info shots, which is like a shadow shot, then and well quality, then CR is a good match for you. If you're just doing shadow shots, right, parts in that, just looking for defects, then your DR is probably the way to go, right? So it's a lot of qualifying you'll have to do with the customer, right, to see which one is better for them. Which that's why it helps to actually have many more options, especially with Creative Electron, that you guys actually have, the DR solution, but you guys also do, other software applications to help the customer actually detect flaws in that.
We can lay artificial intelligence, machine learning, we can do tomography, right? It takes that to the real-time world, right? Or anything is possible.
Absolutely.
I can tell we're at time now, Peter. We've been doing this for a while, and David gets restless on his seat like this. It means that it's time to go. I don't have to even check my watch anymore. I just look at him. He's got like, can you stop talking now?
There you go.
I gotta distract you and interrupt your thought flow. Yes, it is 10:30, so we do need to wrap it up. Peter, it's been really good to have you. Really enjoyed the conversation. Learned a lot from you.
Perfect.
So
Likewise.
We'll have to have you guys back on again sometime soon.
Yes, no problem.
Thanks for the time,
Give me
Peter.
a shout anytime. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye now.